I really think that the biggest difference in those who choose to just build a portfolio and those who just kind of linger around is exactly that. They're choosing to just do it. People try to time the market or they look for the perfect deal. And what ends up happening is they end up on the sidelines. Understanding your strategy, where do you want to look? What kind of cash flow you're looking for? What can you afford, with your liquidity? And then executing that.
All right, shall we?
Hey.
How was your weekend?
It was really good
Nice.
because I was just anticipating being back here with
I didn't
everyone.
really care.
You weren't thinking about
Yeah,
oh,
just being nice. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you had a nice weekend. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Calculated Interest.
Welcome.
I'm a host of this podcast, Alyssa Antoci. I am the EVP here at of Shared Services at ABL. Go ahead. I can't.
And I'm the other guy. My name is Matt. I'm also a host here as well, but my main job throughout the day is I'm the head of asset management, and we're here for episode 2 of our podcast. We were just chomping at the bit to get back with everyone. Got some good feedback. My mom said I looked kind of cute, so I was excited to
That's
get
so
back.
nice of her.
She's very supportive, even when
Wow.
I'm not looking that cute. So
We're
we're bringing it back out for you guys.
That's nice. Do we say a little bit about ABL? Yeah.
We say a little bit about Baby L.
All right. Well, we did 3.3 million in funded
That's
in our
a lot.
lifetime. Oh, you're the stats guy. What am I even
I'm
doing?
the sales guy. We did 3.3 billion in funded loans. That's a big number.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute. 7,000 plus projects. That's 1,000 more than 6,000.
So true.
We've also been in the business for 15 years. That's longer than how old my dog is. And then we're featured in the Scotsman Guide Inc., the media, National Mortgage Professional, and Housing Wire.
That's it?
For this card, that is it.
Sick. All right. Well, should we set the stage?
Let's tell them what we're going to be talking about.
It's rental property.
It's rental properties.
Okay. Why does this conversation matter to you?
Well, we've kind of dipped our toes, you and I, funnily enough, into the rental market. We've actually become landlords ourselves, benevolent ones, would I add. But it's a good way to grow your portfolio. It's another product that most hard money lenders have outside of their bridge programs. And it's another way to scale and just make some money.
Yeah, that's true. I have one rental property.
Get out.
I think I'm a good landlord. You have to ask them though, but I think I am.
What do you think makes a good landlord? As you, a seasoned vet in the game, what do you think the people want to see?
Oh my God. Well, we have to ask the person, but I would say being responsive with all of their needs
100%.
because things can happen middle of the night, weekends, whenever, and you have to be very responsive to them. I think making a decision on a give or take, like for example, they may want new siding. That probably doesn't make sense unless you need new siding. But maybe they want something like if they're a long-term good renter and they're trying to live there and that's what you want, like somebody who wants to be there long term and like
Right.
has pride of ownership and place, which I luckily have a really great tenant, which makes this a lot easier. I want to do things that make them want to stay long term. So I think also like balancing that is important.
Yeah, who you have in your home is so important to your overall just mental well-being.
Totally.
And just cash flow coming in, because you could have a tenant that ends up draining you more money than you're making off them with damages to the home.
Yeah.
Maybe they got a dog and he's a little scratchy. Maybe scratching up those nice hardwood floors you put in. Maybe they leave the faucet on in the bathroom and it gives you tens of thousands of dollars in water bills, which does happen. We've experienced with actually some of our borrowers. So tenant screening is such a big component when it comes to rental properties.
So true. And I self-manage. And I obviously have like a full-time job. So I want a tenant that I can trust, not have to worry about. So that's really important to me. So I was a super screener, probably a little bit overkill, but I really wanted somebody that was going to be a good tenant that cared about the property.
I don't even think you could say it's like overkill, right? Because again, that could be a potential headache. So the big thing with rental properties is different from bridge. Is bridges you're fixing it up. You could refinance that into a rental property elsewhere, or do whatever you're going to do with it, buy it out and hold it. But for the most part, if you're trying to fix and flip, you're getting out of it. Once you're bringing a tenant in, that's the whole component of where you're making money. So if there's someone that you're not screening adequately, and you need to evict them or eject them from the property, that's time, that's legal fees, that's money. So it's a big factor in if you're going to be making or breaking for that month.
It's horrible. And also, like, on a personal level, like, nobody, you don't ever want to have to be put in that position. Like, I hope to never, I'm sure it may happen in my career doing that, but like, I hope to never do that, and that I bring people into the property that can afford it and that they love it and that I'm good to them, and vice versa. But yeah, I agree. So you have rental property?
I tried twice and I failed twice. And let me tell you about why you should listen to me, Belle. I was doing kind of the more passive thing to what you were saying, Alyssa, where I was trying to manage rentals from distance. I was actually trying to get properties over in like middle America. I had a property management firm that I was working with, agent over there, and all those things are doable. All those things are possible and can be scalable. But the research and the homework that you need to make that successful, it's going to take a lot more time. You don't necessarily know these people in the same way. They're your boots on the ground. They're your eyes on the ground. So things came up during closing that I wasn't aware of, even with inspections, even with all the conversations you're having late night, even with all the pictures being taken by your agents. And 2 times I got to closing and ended up not getting the property.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
2 times.
Are you going to keep going? Or you?
The guy came back to me and said, yeah, it'd be great if you paid me for this. I was like, for what? Being a big dummy?
Oh,
That's what I said to
no,
him.
you didn't.
I did say it to him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because I just had it up to here with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I called somebody a big dummy, but it might become in my vernacular.
I think there's common words that you could use to kind of go at people a little bit. That seems subtle, but it hits differently.
What are a few just for
Like if someone said like, hey, you're really stupid, I'd say that's not nice.
Yeah.
And that would kind of hurt my feelings. Or if someone genuinely looked at me and said, you're dumb, I'd say, no, I'm not. And I'd break down a little bit because of that.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't take much to not be dumb.
Oh, good to know.
I'm
just putting a repertoire.
Remember this.
Well, okay. Well, I'm excited for today because I feel like I think I have a lot of untapped potential on my property in general. So I want to learn how to, grow utilizing what I have today. I have a property. I bought it for like 200,000. I put about 90K into renovation costs to renovate it. I now have a renter in it. I can either sell it or refinance it and then continue the process, but I'm a little nervous. So I'm hoping after today I'm going to get the courage.
What's got you so scared?
It's just, I don't know. I'm a little risk averse.
The unknown?
Yeah, it's the unknown. I'm
Doesn't
risk
make us all a
averse.
little nervous.
It does. It does. So,
But you made the first step, and that's a big thing when it comes to your portfolio when you're doing these rentals, right? Is getting that first property can catapult you into growing it, because then you can use the equity in that home to keep expanding and keep taking on new projects.
that's what they say.
So like it's literally getting your foot in the door, and once you have that, you can use that leverage and just keep growing at a rapid pace. So that first property can turn into, 5, 10 within a couple of years. It's just that a lot of people don't know where to start, and that's what we're looking to address today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm
So,
mildly excited.
oh, well. Who do we have today on the show?
We found this guy. He was outside of a Dunkin'.
No
and
way.
He was rummaging he was sifting through the garbage in the back. But I think, I said, you slap a suit on this man and he might have a lot of information.
No
to share
way.
with us. Yeah.
Wow.
He bit me. I said, hey, he bites, but I think that he could really lift everybody up today.
Wow. I'm excited to learn from him. His name is
Nick Tierno.
Nick Tierno, and he actually works here.
He does work here now. After we cleaned him up and gave him a shower, he's ready to go.
No, but he's pretty amazing. He built out our DSCR product from scratch. He's absolutely an expert in this area. He does live behind the Dunkin', but he is an expert.
That's a choice. That's more of a choice.
That's frugality to the next level.
It is.
That's how you save enough money to keep investing.
To keep going forward. You're thinking about the immediate sacrifice for the long-term gratification.
Honestly, folks like that though, like all jokes aside, they're gonna retire, and I'm gonna be working.
Yeah. Yeah, because and that's what it is. It's that upfront investment that it's like, okay, you might only be, even if you're breaking even on a property and you're not going to go under in terms of expenses. And that's another big thing too with rental properties, right? It's those unforeseen expenses. It's not just clearing your mortgage. It's electricity, it's rent, it's repairs, it's it's unforeseen things, like even the roof leaks and whatnot, right? You have to factor all those things into your income. So if you're doing that up front, yeah, you might not be making money hand over fist, but down the road, that's when you can expand your portfolio.
It's true. They make me sad because I've had literally 1,000 things go wrong, but They happen.
And that's what you hear
have to make
most.
them
You
in.
mostly hear the horror stories.
Yeah. Well, like luckily I prepared for it. I have a good
Yes.
margin. But really, like, I think in my grand dreams, I was going to be making a lot of money,
Yes.
and actually, I'm not. It's break even, but there's equity in the property, and it's continuing to grow, and that's what really is great.
It's a different vision of your investment.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking of like, all right, I'm gonna do this rehab, get out, and make 30K on it. I did it in 3 months. You're playing that long game. You're building that long-term equity. But there's also things you could do to transfer to loved ones, your spouse. Like you can keep that within the family and build generational wealth too. And I think that's something a lot of people think about as well. Is
Totally.
security you have in your family. So you're playing a different game. It's a long game, but it's reliable for as long as real estate's been around.
That's for sure. Well, should we bring them in?
Let's get them.
All right, let's bring them in.
We get a donut for them.
Well, if we're gonna kick it off, I actually think you should introduce yourself because he cannot be trusted.
I don't think
I was
can
gonna
trust-
sing, so I'm so glad that you did.
Do you want to intro me, or should I
Actually,
intro
if you were
myself?
gonna sing, maybe that's a great idea.
But I was gonna sing Enya Only Time, which I don't think is related to any of this because I was playing on the car ride over.
Yeah.
You wanna give us a little-
Who can say where? Everyone, Nick Tierno. Nick, where
That's
your
what that song's
heart
called?
dies.
What-
Keep going. Only time. No, don't sing with me. You talk. No,
So I'll introduce myself.
Yeah.
I think is what we're
Okay,
gonna
I'll
go
let
with.
you go.
My name is Nick Tierno.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Likewise. Likewise, for the first time, you and I here.
Amazing.
I've worked for ABL for about 4.5 years now, and I head up our DSCR program.
Wow.
And that's all there is to me. That's it.
I
Yeah,
actually
I-
have a stat related to
It's
you. 100 million DSCR loans sold in the first 12 months. Is that a true stat about you?
yeah, I think it's close enough to being true. It's a true stat. It's a true stat. Yeah, when I first got to ABL, we were doing just starting to do the DSCR program and dive into that space, and just got really fortunate with the setup that we had with working with our bridge LOs and new construction LOs, throwing over their DSCR loans my way, and was able to get a lot of business done during those times when rates were 3.75%. So when you mention that, it doesn't sound as impressive, but it did happen. So
Yeah, it's when I fell off my dinosaur when rate was 3.75%. Am I right?
Oh my
That's all that I had there.
God. We can end the podcast. Well, I kind of like get into it a little. Do we just like rapid fire questions?
Let's just plug our noses and let's just dive right into
Yeah,
this
you
bad
think
boy.
so?
I think it's time.
let's do it.
He's in the hot seat. Let's make him work.
It is a little warm in here, but yeah. Go
We
ahead.
turned it up when
Yeah,
you
we
came in
did.
here. We said, let's make him sweat a little
Yep.
bit. So you did all those loans. Wow, that's hard.
Oh my God.
How does it feel that you built out this program? I mean,
Alright.
some people would say, like when I think rental properties, I think DSCR. Now I know what that means.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, and you guys probably know that I know that. But for our people listening,
I
what
didn't
is
think you knew it.
no? But I mean, I
I'm
do.
shocked to hear
But,
you
but
say
what
that,
does that
actually,
mean for
so-
the people listening?
I-
What DSCR? Who is that?
Well, I think you're in the minority if you think rental properties and you immediately think DSCR.
That may,
When I first
let's not talk
started,
about
when I actually first started in the mortgage business, I was a conventional loan officer for PHH Mortgage. I was in the space. I was doing VA, FHA, conventional loans, passed the NMLS test. I didn't know what a DSCR loan was even at that time in my career. It wasn't until later when I got into the hard money space and figuring out, where I wanted to take my mortgage expertise that I actually start really learning about it. So I don't think you're in the majority of people who think that. So it's a little bit of a niche product, but it's becoming like super popular and performing really well in the marketplace too. So it's growing in popularity.
So when you got hired,
Mhm.
you knew what it was.
Oh, when I got hired, I knew what it was.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I'm talking when I graduated college, I
Oh.
didn't know what a DSCR loan was.
That's when I didn't know what it was either.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
right.
It was
When
then,
I got
yeah.
hired, I knew too.
It
Yeah,
definitely wasn't
totally.
2 weeks ago. Did you just find out?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But so when you think, because for the other people that isn't me, what does DSCR stand for?
Right. What is DSCR to me? If I could explain it in my
If
words.
you could say it in your
Right,
words, in our mind,
right.
what would it be?
DSCR stands. It's actually one of the most mispronounced acronyms.
That's what I heard.
People forget the S just like randomly.
Right.
Like, oh, do you do those DCR loans? Like, yep. We do them.
I saw that on Reddit.
Right. But DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. And it's basically just a cash flow.
Mm.
That's all it is. Think of it like it's an actual ratio, right? Like 1.0 is a break even. If you're getting $1,000 a month in rental income and your mortgage payment is $1,000 a month, that is a 1.0 ratio. Every dollar coming in, a dollar goes out. It's a break even. Same example, but you're getting $2,000 a month in rent and $1,000 a month mortgage. That's a 2.0 DSCR ratio. That's a really, really good cash flowing property. I think probably our average DSCR ratio in the 4.5 years I've been here is around like 1.2, I think, which is strong, which is very strong. All that to say that 2.0 ratio is incredible.
Right.
So I don't see that a ton, but when you do, that's a good property.
You hang your hat on that.
Yep. Oh yeah. You write home.
You write home, you say, honey, I did it.
That's right.
Well, I guess so you work with a lot of investors, new investors, seasoned investors. I guess what does a general path look like that you've seen from a new investor to becoming a seasoned investor?
I think the biggest thing I see with your on the fence investors, because I really think the biggest difference in those who choose to just build a portfolio and those who just kind of linger around is exactly that. They're choosing to just do it, right? They actually go for it. There's no secret sauce to the business, right? It's numbers, it's cash flow, and it's your idea of what you want your homes to be as far as what leverage, what areas, and what kind of cash flow the property has. I think the biggest difference I see is people try to time the market or they look for the perfect deal. And what ends up happening is they end up on the sidelines a lot of the time. So I think the question is what's the pathway to building a portfolio? I just think it's doing it, finding, understanding your strategy. Where do you want to look? What kind of cash flow are you looking for? What can you afford, with your liquidity, and then executing that. Don't sit on the sidelines and make it like a full-time gig. Take it very, very seriously and you'll start building and you'll see it just happen.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about literally right before you came in here. It just feels
I hear you talking about that all the time, which is why I'm surprised you even asked.
using
to be
the
honest.
vending machine. I'm like Skittles, jump right into
Right,
DSCR.
exactly,
They go hand in
exactly.
hand. But we were saying that people that kind of sit on the outside and they're just not willing to do it. But once you jump in, that opens up so many doors for you in terms of leverage. That opens you the ability to expand your portfolio rapidly. But if you're trying to time the market, like you said, that's such a big thing people stay out of. Then you're missing out on potential just equity growth in a home too, right? So maybe even if you're
Absolutely.
break even, like you mentioned, in 5-10 years or so, you could have, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in the home. You could take that out and put into another investment property. So it's more so thinking towards the future and not just like the immediate right now.
Absolutely. And I think
That was a good point.
that was great. That was
Oh,
really well
thank
said. You went
God.
from Skittles and bubblegum to actually saying
I
something
was
very
freaking
coherent.
out
That
for
was amazing. But yeah, I think it's the ability to just trust the plan that you've put in place and to actually go forth with it. But also understanding you're gonna make mistakes. Like you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna fail. You're gonna break even. You're gonna lose money. A break even on your first couple flips or properties, that's great.
Oh, yeah.
You did it. That's a great job. And to your point about equity building, I mean, the last 5 years is not the historical trend because it's been so outrageous with the equity building. But real estate traditionally has been a pretty good investment if you're willing to hold on to it, for an extended period of time. So even right now, when I hear people talk about, their cash flow and not sure if they want to jump into a certain property, like one of the things people forget sometimes is, hey, you're buying in, Hoboken, right, or some area like that where the appreciation, like, there's nowhere else to build in a town like that.
Yep.
It should continue to go up unless something, very dramatic happens in the marketplace. But it's all really good things to think about: your long-term equity, your short-term gain, also understanding, the property itself. Are there, appliances that need to be replaced, and being a homeowner, right? Which
Right.
if you talk to some of our 20, 30 plus, unit folks, doors, people who own those many doors, they're going to tell you like, Yeah, sometimes it's miserable because a lot of things can go wrong,
Yeah.
with tenants being in and out, having to replace leaks, roofs, whatever the case may
Tenants
be.
lighting fires purposefully.
Exactly, holding your crazy house parties in basements and
Yeah.
just being absolute, ragers.
The worst.
I
The worst.
but yeah, those things can happen. But again, just about being consistent. If you're consistent in your planning and portfolio building, you're gonna end up doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And what are like some strategies you see people use when like leveraging a DSCR loan or loans in general? Like I know when I've spoken to some of our borrowers, they have a bunch of different ways that they do it. Like some essentially like upfront will work with contractors, and then during the payout of like say they do like a DSCR loan to begin, or they'll do like a renovation, they'll transition to a DSCR loan. But in the beginning, they'll do like before that, they'll take some cash out of it and then they'll pay the GC up front. And there's like organization. I don't know it. So I'm asking you,
Yeah,
like, what are some of the
there's a lot of like really creative ways to go about financing properties and getting your foot in the door and partnering with a GC or someone like that. I think that's a great point. I think one of the themes that I always see in portfolio builders is having a good team around you. So starting with a lender, but also then your GC, your contractors, and the people that you're using to get your permits, and if you're building in specific areas, right? Like you have a team in place that you're using, a property management company, for example, who you have around you and you can execute. One of the most common things that we see in the industry, and I think it's kind of like the best way to go about building your business, is that BRRRR strategy, right? So I think I mean, everyone in this room has heard about it, the BRRRR strategy.
Everyone has.
But
Everyone.
what do you think? In your experience, what is the
It's
BRRRR
like,
strategy?
can I get a jacket? It's a little nippy in here. How would you define that?
So you first you buy the property, you secure financing, and the idea there is you renovate. So that's the first R, and then
That's the
you
first one?
right.
Okay.
So it's BRRRR,
Correct.
right? So when you renovate the property, you're gonna build the equity in there, right? The idea is you're gonna put in 20, 50, $100,000, whatever the property requires. Um, you're going to finish that renovation, and then you're going to put a tenant in place who's going to rent the property. And then you're going to refinance that property. Um, Once you have it stabilized with a tenant in place, you've built that equity with the money that you've put in to rehab the place. Then you refinance and you use that equity to do a cash out refinance, right? So now you've built that equity, you take that equity out and cash out. You have that property stabilized, and you use that cash that you've just received from that refinance to go buy another property and do that process over and over again. So, at first you'll probably start out doing one or two of them. I think you've actually recently done one not too
yes.
long ago,
I
which
haven't
is
bird
exciting.
yet
But you'll
though.
get there.
Yeah,
You'll
maybe.
get there. But that's kind of the best way I've seen people get in and out of a property, stabilize it, add it to their portfolio, and then continue to build further on.
Yeah. I'm very interested in like I know there's a lot of different creative solutions for how to utilize like the end of the project like projects or transitioning out. Like I know that yeah, I think there's a lot of really creative ways. I'm interested. Have you ever, from your experience with these investors, what's like one of the most creative solutions you've heard?
Oh, that's a good
Make it a
question.
good one too, though.
I know. I'm trying
Don't
to
make
think
it
of
bad.
like the most crazy. I mean, we honestly see a lot of like equity splits in the LLCs when you're talking with advanced builders who have done a lot of different things or have a lot of different people involved with the project. There's a lot of different people who have to get paid out or want to be part of the project, or like experience, for example, always comes up, right? Because sometimes you'll have a GC who's built a ton of homes, but they've actually never been the principal investor on a property. So, how do we qualify that person to get on a loan? Because we know that they have the experience in building, but they've actually never been calling the shots, handling the finances, right? So, those are scenarios that are very common. We can qualify you based on that experience. But sometimes you see it in the other way where it's like, there's a principal investor who's never done anything. Okay, do you have a GC who'd be willing to come on the loan with you? So, we between the two of you guys, we can figure out a way to get where we need to be with experience and things like that to get the deal done. So we see things like that a lot, and we always try to work it to make the deal make sense. And if it does, we'll do it.
Yeah, there's
Nice.
so many different ways to get into the space, like you just
Yeah.
mentioned. And just loosely from what you're seeing in terms of trends, do you see most of these DSCR loans that are coming in, or these rental property loans, are in-state investors, or are you seeing more out of state? Has there been any kind of shift?
I think it's been like a healthy mix. I think it's really been like, because you never know where people find interesting properties or locations or places they want to invest in. Um, I would say it's probably more common that someone who lives in New Jersey, working in New Jersey, just using as New Jersey, because we live here, they're more commonly going to build properties in state. And DSCR loans can be a little bit different. I do see DSCR spreading out. You'll find your brokers and borrowers now and then will be like, yeah, I live in Jersey, but I have this place in, Texas or Florida that we like. And I have a couple properties down there or like Nashville or something. So DSCR is kind of a mixed bag. You see a lot of different areas and everyone isn't, so close to home when they're building rental properties, which I think is cool, especially because, you can reach out to so many different places these days. World's a small place.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
And in terms of your actual role in funding a loan and getting it across the desk, Are you are you coordinating with an agent? Are you coordinating with brokers? Are you really holding the borrower's hand through the underwriting process, communicating to the underwriter? How do you actually get that across the table and how you actually get that loan funded?
It's all the above, and it's never just me.
Right.
It's the team here. Everyone's
So selfless.
on the same on the same page. But we work with I'll work with everyone throughout the process who reaches out to me. Right, like most of the time it's broker borrower. Every now and then we'll get a realtor involved. Well, realtors will get involved with our process
Yep.
typically, but which is great because the more fluid communication and the more people are on the same page, the higher chance you're going to get that deal done. But yeah, I mean, we handhold the borrower through the underwriting process. We work with our processors to make sure that everyone knows, hey, what's needed here, what the timeline's going to be. Our third party appraisers, and again, it's a total team effort from start to finish. And the borrower is always in the loop when going through those processes. So
Nice.
yeah.
And I guess like, what would you say the steps to get into a DSCR loan would be? Like I guess more explicitly, like if I'm a new investor, should I like first go to conventional and then to like what would be the journey into DSCR loans or yeah.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to role play that, we could also, if there's any.
That's a great question though, because as we said at the beginning of this, is like a lot of people don't know the full power of a DSCR loan. A lot of people don't even know that DSCR loans exist. So I've talked to so many people over there's even like these recent conferences we've been at who are like, yeah, I have 5 properties under Fannie Freddie conventional loans. I'm like, what? That is, first of all, it's impressive. And the
Yeah.
reason why it's impressive is because there are so many hoops to jump through when doing an investment property loan through a conventional avenue. And that's not me being a hater on conventional loans. Or I've done it. I know what it takes. And I know a lot of our investors, what their, employment structure looks like, which most of them are self-employed. And, if you're doing self-employed correctly, if you will, you're not showing a ton of income on your tax returns. And, it becomes a very tedious process when you're doing a conventional loan because you have to have a DTI that qualifies below 50%. And if you have 2 years of business and personal tax returns where, you're self-employed and you're not showing all that income, that becomes very hard to qualify for a loan just on that basis alone. What's impressive about those borrowers or folks who have multiple properties through the conventional space is they all show up on your credit report, which means that you have to now state every one of those loans. You have to put their rental history, you have to show their rental income, and those loans now have to qualify. And you need to produce documents and everything, this, that, the other for those properties as well. And, if you want to go buy a car, a year after that or 6 months after all of those properties are now on your credit report, and now you have to still debt service with those properties on your credit. So it just becomes a super arduous process doing conventional loans. All that to say, DSCR, when you're going through a DSCR loan, it's a business entity loan. So you're going to do an LLC or corporation, and you're just going to personally guarantee that loan. So what that means is it's not going to show up on your personal credit report. It's going to go through your LLC. We're not going to ask you for taxes, tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs. We don't ask for any of that. The things we care about is, does the property cash flow? Does that individual property or subject property cash flow? Do you have the liquidity and credit worthiness to qualify? And if you do, you're good to go. And that loan, when we close it, is not going to show up on your personal credit report. You'll never have to answer it on DTI, or when you refinance or buy your own property. It will never show up. You'll be good to go. So um, that is what we see. It's probably the better answer to what we see in like portfolio builders. That's number one. It's everything's through their business entity or entities. A lot of our investors have each individual. If it's 123 Main Street, they have 123 Main Street LLC. And then if it's 234 Main Street, they have 234 Main Street LLC. But that's just how you can help build out and keep those things off your personal credit, keep it to the business, and have some pretty cool tax advantages to that as well.
Love taxes.
Yeah.
You love
Who
that.
doesn't?
Wait, you love.
I love paying them, and I love my country.
Wow, that's beautiful.
When you're looking at the valuations and the differences between a bridge product and a DSCR product, when you're looking at bridge, you're typically looking at like what the sales comps are, right? What's sold around here? Is it a similar valuation based on room size, bathroom count, square footage, all of that?
Mhm.
Are you looking at the same exact criteria when you're looking at a DSCR product, or is there anything else that makes them kind of more unique? You kind of touched on before, like rental income, right? It's in cap rates and whatnot. What kind of separates the two in terms of an underwriting standpoint?
Yeah, we're not doing an income approach, excuse me, on appraisal reports. It's the same thing for the DSCR loans. We're going to look at comps in the area. Those comps have to make sense. The difference, of course, with a DSCR appraisal and like a bridge loan appraisal is the DSCR has to be completely, rent ready. Property cannot be subject to any repairs or deferred maintenance or anything like that. So on the bridge side, it's a little more speculative because you're not sure exactly what it's going to end up looking like when it's all said and done, or just how many rooms, or what the backyard's going to look like, or whatever. So for the DSCR loan, it's a sales approach, and it's a lot. It's a lot more objective because you have the finished product. You can say, okay, this one looks good, this one looks good, this one looks good, and that's how you get your appraisal. So yeah, pretty similar.
Pretty similar, he says.
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess what are some like common roadblocks you see investors trying to scale? Like, what is something that out of all the borrowers you've worked with, like they kind of just stop at a point? What do you think that roadblock is for them?
I think it depends on the investor, obviously, but one thing that I see more commonly than anything else is liquidity. And what I mean by that is, there are certain liquidity requirements that any lender is going to want to see from an investor, to make sure that if it's a purchase, they can make the down payment and then have liquid reserves to make the monthly mortgage payment for 6 months or 3 months, because unfortunately sometimes you can't get a tenant in right away. And how do you protect against that? Well, you have reserves in place so you can float for however long, to make sure you can make those payments. But a lot of times we have investors who are moving really, really quickly, um, which could be an awesome thing because that means business is going really well. But don't get too ahead of yourself because um, you can have these huge projects going in and out and relying on these massive closings that sometimes fall through, and it's hard to get the timing right of large deposits coming in, large deposits coming out. And what we end up seeing sometimes is if one project or two projects don't quite go the way it was anticipated, or they have to get extended, or a sale falls through, you can end up in a really, really bad spot, not being able to make this payment, or not being able to show enough liquid reserves to close on that property that you're trying to close. So I would say, just just take a beat when you're going through here. Even if things are going really well, don't be afraid to just evaluate everything coming in and out, and make sure that you're not counting your chickens before they hatch. as a quote that I know you love to
Amazing.
say around the office. Yeah.
Another quote that I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've heard liquidity, the silent killer.
Yeah, I think I'm not
I've
sure what
heard-
circles you've heard that in, but it's true. It's true. It's true. Those, yeah.
I saw it on the bathroom wall today.
There's a lot of like graffiti.
I wrote
about-
it.
Oh,
I wrote
oh my
it.
God. The HR department is constantly just scrubbing liquidity, the silent killer, off all the walls.
I'm just really trying to drive the
Now
message
we
home
know.
because that's such a good point. People become over leveraged, and you see it so much. That's also identical to the bridge side too. It's just that your cash flow stops, and then you have a house of cards that just completely crumbles on itself.
Yeah.
So for you, if you were, trying to build your portfolio today or just jump into the game, I know your big thing that you said was, and Alyssa and I were talking this before too, and completely agree. It's just taking that first step, just taking that dive in. Once you're in, what would you do, or what markets would you be maybe looking to get into to kind of expand from there?
Oof. Well, the first thing I would do is one at a time. One at a time. I think that's when I've seen, your inexperienced investors start to get in trouble. When they're jumping from project to project to project without really, settling in and understanding what's going to happen now that I have a tenant in place. I own that property. I'm doing a cash out refi. Let me just see what happens in 3 months. So then, okay, everything closes. I have that the water system didn't break down. The tenant didn't leave. They made their payments. Figure all that out for a couple months. Then, okay, now let's get our first one. When you're just starting out, what markets would I look into if I was starting? Impossible questions
Impossible.
to answer. Impossible. I think there's so many good markets, especially in New Jersey. I think it's just about what you're looking for. Like if you're looking for a summer home where you want to Airbnb, you have the entire coastline. You have your Wildwoods, your Manasquans. You have all those areas.
Is Manasquan's a real word?
Manasquan?
Yeah.
I hope so.
First time hearing that one.
Or if you want to hold on to something a little more long term and have more stabilized income throughout the entire year, there's so many good suburbs. Even right where we are now, at Cherry Hill, Mount Laurel. In North Jersey, it's a little more expensive, but there's like the Ramseys and those kind of places. If you can afford something in Hoboken or Jersey City, it's they're all great areas because you get the long-term appreciation, right? There's a lot of different things to look at. Just on a more macro level, right? I know a lot of businesses are starting to build, more in the United States, and they're starting to build more plants and manufacturing coming back a little bit. Never a bad idea to look in those areas like Austin, where plants are coming. I think like Tesla was there, and so we saw a big boom in that market. A lot of new construction happening. So just keep an eye out for like those types of areas or things going on.
Do you think it makes sense then for those kind of areas, like you said, or just as you're continuing to scale yourself, should you start moving from, multiple doors in single family, or should you start kind of scaling up in terms of multifamily and get multiple doors in one building?
There's a lot. There's a lot of different ways to go about it.
A lot of different
Personally,
ways to skin a cat.
exactly. Look, if I had to do it again, what I would do is what's called house hacking, which I know is something that's very popular these days, which is, you buy a 3-unit or 4-unit property, you live in 1 unit, you rent out the other 3. You can do that for like an FHA loan, like 3% down.
Mhm.
So you save a lot of money at the upfront cost. You live there for a year. You build the equity. If you're doing it right, hopefully you're not paying a mortgage and your tenants are. And then you move out of that property, and now you have a 4-unit stabilized property, and you can go buy another property. That's a really good way to do it. If I knew, what I know now, I would have done that. Look, if you can find a 2-unit, a 3-unit, 4-unit, they almost always cash flow better than single families. Single family luxury properties are really tough because they cost a lot, and they're usually tougher to maintain because bigger house, bigger problems. But again, it's all about what you're looking to do. I've seen incredible, 120, $125,000 properties, DSCR over a 2.0. And I've seen investors have, 15 of those properties, and they haven't worked in, 15, 20 years. So it's all about, I know that's like a cop-out answer, but it really is just about what you're looking for in your portfolio.
I value so much what you say, so I feel like I gain from that.
Good. I'm glad.
Even
I'm
though you
glad.
verbally slapped me in the face, I was like, you know what? At least I learned something.
Do you find like the people you work with, are they majority like partners, or is it single folks like investing on their own? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I would say it's usually partners, but like they're not one person is leading,
Okay.
right? One person is doing all the upfront uh negotiating, talking about the property. Um and then the other person's kind of like in the background, kind of just like okaying and moving things along. A lot of people don't have 100% LLC ownerships. They're usually split with their partner or whatever the case may be. But again, it's not like 80/20.
Right.
If anything, it's 55/45 on, you know, single member LLCs versus partnerships or anything like that.
So you say like most are doing it with a partner though.
I think so.
That's interesting.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
A partner of some sort, whether they're on the LLC or in part of the corporation, because we know, right? We get an operating agreement. We're seeing the entity information, formation docs. Like we know who's on there, and we know the split. So it seems like people have more than they don't have a partner.
And it seems
But
like that could just come naturally with scale to what you're saying too, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are getting into those 50 unit buildings, 100+ unit buildings, you got a lot of people taking cuts of that pie. So I feel like it'd be tough for one person to be financing that, or at least overseeing all of that.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we talked about earlier, just building a team and
Right.
having a team to say like, look, if you have 50 properties, that's a really hard thing to manage by yourself. I would want my partner, to be involved in that, whether that's Christina or my business partner, so
Christina.
my lovely wife to be.
Oh my God. Heard she's great.
She's fantastic. She's fantastic. But
Wow.
but yeah, I do see a lot of partnerships in our LLCs, and just like we mentioned with the bridge side, we love when a GC's on the loan, or is we have some conversation with an experienced builder who's going to be handling the project. So yeah, we do see that a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any other?
I've
hard-hitting
literally
questions?
nothing
I know I can
else.
ask
I
questions
got
all day because I find it so interesting. But I
He's just
mean,
very
Let's do
endearing
it.
to me. He's just
Let's just keep it rolling. 3 hours. See what we
4,
get.
5,
4. Why
let's
not?
that's
go
how
all
you
in, or-
that's how you get some of the best.
Let's just get
things.
really
Yeah,
raw.
like-
Yeah.
Authentic.
Like the last time that I cried,
Let's talk
Oh,
about it.
That is so sad.
I cried during movies a lot.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
thought you cried at your when you were
I
swimming.
told Alyssa I cried during my swimming race, but
You
I was
cried
on,
in the pool.
in the water. He said he was
I
crying.
told you like a mental breakdown during my swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't cry. But like,
They
imagine how
say
funny.
they say the best place to have mental breakdowns is in the open water.
right.
They say
They
that.
yep,
That's-
they say that.
that's
Wow,
what-
good for you.
Yeah.
That's great. Ah.
They said helps with
They
buoyancy.
they usually always say if you're in water trying to keep yourself afloat, the number one thing to do is panic immediately.
because osmosis
Yeah.
will
Pull
release the
everybody
water.
with you
Correct.
as much as possible.
Flail.
You'll float, right?
Yep.
Grab someone
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
Swallow some water because you're gonna be thirsty.
Don't
so make
let
sure to
them
open your
go.
mouth.
They're
Yeah.
gonna try to get away. You stay right here and you
Yeah.
hold on tight.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I've heard
That's
that.
what my grab life by the person in the water is what I always heard.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
good
that's like
advice.
a perfect segue for
Oh,
Investor's
God.
Edge. A perfect segue. So we have a question from we asked people out there in the social
We
in
asked
the
the
world.
audience.
We asked the audience.
Wow.
Would you believe it?
Yeah.
Wow, I would, yeah.
And
It's happening. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
wait, I don't actually think I messed up what Investor's Edge is. This
We-
isn't a question.
We can change it. No, it's right here.
It's a tip. Oh, okay. So here's a tip from the audience.
Yeah, this guy.
You guys ready to hear it? Build your A team before you buy. Contractor, agent, lender, before you're under contract.
And where does this guy live?
Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, it says Gabe of Instagram.
Okay.
It's a town, I think.
It could be just like Malawaska.
It's Manasquan.
Thank you.
Where are you from? Are you not from this area?
From the historic Queens area.
My bad. No, this is true though. Building a team up front and having partners. I think like for me as my one-time investor, I did have a team though. And it makes me scared to go in other areas and venture out of where my rental property is because I really trust my team and they're all there. But I think it's also made it pretty safe. But I think it's a smart one. Thanks, Gabe.
And you don't necessarily, and kind of like what Nick was saying before and what you were saying before too, Alyssa, like it's preference. Like you can stay and expand and grow your portfolio right where you are. You don't necessarily need to brand. I mean, At some point you can, but you can just keep accumulating doors where you are. So there's so much you could do with it. You can keep that
Totally.
team and they could be like all reliable for you.
Definitely.
So you got to put them down.
And there's nothing wrong with just going at your own pace. Comparison's the thief of joy, as they actually say.
That's true.
So if you have one property
love
and
that.
that's where you stay for a couple years, there's that you are doing better than most.
And home is where the heart is.
Yep, that's also true. Yeah.
Well, anything else? No.
I said I incorporated skin a cat into this, so I pretty much covered everything.
You've absolutely peaked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you guys for having me. This
Thank you
is
so much,
great.
This is
knowledge.
unreal.
Long time listener, first time speaker.
Yeah.
Wow.
So happy to be here.
Wow.
I'm getting heart flutters.
And we'll have another episode too, and it's kind of a big deal.
Is
Next
it?
episode. Not that this, of course.
Yeah,
was.
this
I-
right,
I
right.
would've been-
It's gonna be much better.
We
than
just
this
got you
one.
warmed up. Now get ready for what we're really excited
The
about.
main course.
But we are gonna have our CEO, of
Ralph
ADL.
Nader.
No.
I think you're thinking of Al Gore.
Al Gore.
This
Yeah.
year, yeah.
Hanging Chad is what they call them.
We will have our CEO, Kevin Rodman, on the show, and I'm
Adjacent.
very excited
Very
about
close.
it.
Adjacent.
So check us out on our next episode.
Yeah, just show up.
God, so aggressive. But come. All right, bye.
Be there. Bye.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye.
guys.
Bye. Bye.